from here, Donald and the two of you will take it away.
Thanks, Heidi. Thank you all for being here. Tracy, Batul, thank you for joining us. This is one of the few times we've screened the film. Now, this is the PBS version, so we have a 94-minute version that's now part of the library's collection, DVDs for those who like those, and streaming for patrons. And yeah, so this came out, we finished the film finally end of 2019, and then it was gonna premiere 2020, March something, 20 something, and about a week before the premiere at the Michigan Theater, we know the story. So it's been a long, interesting road to get to the point where we're able to watch it with audiences and then be able to talk. And so this is one of the few that we've had, and the first time I've been able to watch the PBS cut with people, because obviously you had to cut some things out, and it's interesting to watch the two different versions of it. So if you want to see the other 40 minutes, you can go check out the DVD or watch it online, because obviously we had to cut a lot out to get it down to a PBS hour. So I want to hear from our guests and then open it up to all of you for questions. So hopefully there's some good questions. But I want to also first just give a shout out to the library, because not just for hosting this and having us part of the collection, but being the really incredible resource. I don't know of really any other documentaries that have had quite a partnership with their public library. And I think, if anything, it could be an interesting model for other people like me who make films about stories to look for these partnerships, because the online archive that's hosted on the website, you can go in and watch probably another 20, 30, 40 pieces of footage and deleted scenes. It's like the DVD extras, but times 50. There's a music database that we've put a lot of research into. You can search what bands and musicians came out of Community High. And then the incredible archive that they already had of the Ann Arbor News, which you saw throughout this film. We had to then get licensing for that. But what an incredible resource for us doing research for the film to pull up a picture of Dean Bob Ghilardi in 1993 and be able to match those up. So it's really an incredible institution. We appreciate it, and having that partnership really means a lot for independent filmmakers like myself. So with that said, I would just love to, I'm so curious to just hear kind of watching that, sort of what came up for both of you. I don't know who wants to jump in first.
Okay, can you hear me? Great, okay. I don't know, I haven't seen this film, it's been like five years. I remember watching it not the full done version.
We did a Michigan Theater sneak preview, and it was even long. It was not a finished version.
Yeah, so that was the last time I watched it. I've been avoiding this film, but it was, it was so exciting to watch. I mean, it brought up a lot of memories that I've completely blocked out of my mind. But yeah, that was my sophomore year of high school. Yeah, I was 15, I'm 15, 16, I'm 21 now. So it's just it's exciting to look back. I was tearing up a little bit. But yeah, it's beautiful to see, what it was. But yeah, thank you for this.
Thank you for being here, Batul, because I know that was such an intense thing to go through, and to have that become very public, and then to have it become part of a film, which took us a few years to actually, get out in the world. It's amazing how much time has gone by, right? You're watching this and you're like, 2016, 2007, like that, way back to that election. It's wild that, the amount of time that a film takes, and the fact that Kelly's daughter's, already graduated. She's in college, and you're like, yeah.
Sophomore, yeah.
Yeah. And what about you, Tracy?
I don't know, I have so many emotions. Thanks for the film, because it just does, I even remember when we put the article out there for Communicator, we had it up on the screen and we were watching it kind of spread throughout the world in live, in real time. And it was really exciting to be able to see, right? And I just, and like, I mean, Isabel Ratner, like all these kids that I saw, like she was in my room again. I mean, she graduated a long time ago, but she was in my room 2 days ago. And she's doing documentaries, and she's doing work that is based off of her work that she did through the Innocence Project and interviewing people who were wrongfully incarcerated. And she's continued that work. So just kind of seeing this powerful ripple effect. We had orientation on Sunday and on Monday, and I'm past my retirement date. So when Judith says, like, you know, that this next batch of kids that you look at and then you're like, oh, I'm here for 4 more years. I just fell in love with these little 8th graders. But it's just such an amazing group of people to work with. And it's kind of timeless. Like, I feel like it wasn't that long ago that we were sitting next to each other.
I was in Tracy's Intro to Lit
in
my
the
freshman
hallway.
year. Yeah.
I mean, that's a long time. So yeah, it's just, yeah. And like over the summer, I was looking back at all of my students' writing from, you know, early 2000s, and I got teary and weepy. And Judith called because we're best friends, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm sitting here crying because I miss my students." But just these relationships that kind of come up, and yeah, I love seeing Judith in there. Yeah.
I'm curious, who was Betul your forum leader?
I had Mo El-Husseini my freshman year, and then Craig for the rest of my 3 years.
Okay.
So.
And then Quinn you got to know through theater.
I did CET for all 4 years of high school, and Quinn has just become this, like, I talked to Quinn the other day. He's like such an important figure in my life, and I will cherish our relationship forever and ever and ever. He's at Pathways now, you know, and he talks to me a lot about what he's doing, and Quinn has such a kind soul that I'm so excited that he can give the arts to so many more students and give that connection that we had to so many more people. So yeah, he was a great man, that man.
The full version, the theatrical version of the film, we ended, and again, when we finished it in the end of 2019, early 2020, the school had just won a National Blue Ribbon Award, and it was this big deal, and there was events and news. And so we put that at the end. We're like, where are they now? We got to put this in our film. So we put like 2019, the school wins this Blue Ribbon Award. It's this special thing. And then like, well, where's everybody else? What's going on? So we're like, you know, everybody was still teaching there. So we just put that in there. And then now when you watch the full cut, and you'll just see, again, it's under the context of 2019. I don't think, well, you're still teaching there. Yes, but like, you know, Judith retired, and then Quinn.
We lost a lot of people in 2020.
Yes, so after we put that in, we're like, maybe we shouldn't have put that in there. So this version does not have the where are they now. We also had to cut it down to what, 56 minutes. So there were just a lot of things we just had to chop. But I'm curious if there's any burning questions immediately. I do have a couple of extra clips that nobody's ever seen. That are new and getting added to the online archive. But I'm curious if there's any questions. Shannon, yeah.
Yeah, well, first, thanks so much for making.
Oh, do you need microphone for, oh, yeah. We gotta follow the right protocol. Thanks, Ben.
Well, thanks so much for making this movie. I thought it was super engaging and really interesting. And I actually had a lot of questions, like, coming off of watching it, but I'll just like ask one to begin with, and I guess it's just a question about like Community High, which is like, how much of it is like totally customized? Like I'm thinking of the swim, swam, swum class, and like and I think there was some headline that said you can learn about like grasshoppers or like all of these really niche things. So how does that work? Like, are they just electives that you make yourself, or? And then how do you have teachers who teach the extremely specific things that you like? Like, are you choosing from a list of things? And are you like, do you still get to do what that swimming guy did and just like leave the school and find the pools? Like, I'm really curious like what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, when I was there, we started to develop a lot more structure when it came to what CRs you can and cannot do, and kind of the curriculum for those. When it comes to classes, though, teachers were teaching what they were interested in. I remember being in social justice with Janelle and Cindy, where it was a class structured around just students engaging in what's going on in social justice around the world. I did 3 years of Matt Johnson's English classes, where I did a Harlem Renaissance class, which was strictly on learning about African American literature, world lit with Ken, film lit, just like really, really amazing classes. I mean, even like the physics class was a flipped class where you did your homework at home, well, you did your homework in class, you came, and then you learned the lessons at home. And so yeah, that kind of was like, teachers were teaching what they loved and what they were passionate about, and students, you would go in, I remember like going in to sign up for your classes, and it was like, you got a number, and it was like the scariest things, because you knew when you were a freshman you were not going to get into like those really amazing classes, because all the seniors were going to take them. But I remember like you would go, you would stand in line, you would like run, bolt to like that one class you knew you wanted to take, sign up for it, and then like just like pick whatever you wanted, which I would like talk to my friends at other high schools, and they didn't have that. They had to take English 9, English 10, bio. We had the FOSS classes, which really like, I remember being in Courtney's FOSS class, and we went out to the creek and like got benthics, and it was just like, it is really engaging like that. And I remember my friends taking CR classes, and one of my friends did gardening with her grandpa. Another, like, the U of M classes were not, you would get high school credit for them, but they were free. And so it was really just going out into your community and engaging as much as you possibly can and getting credit. So I think that still stands at community today.
And Tracy, you can jump in. The scene of registration was not in this cut. So again, another reason to go and watch the full-length cut, the drama of registration.
And just from a personal experience as a parent, like my daughter last semester took an upper 200 level women in psychology class at U of M for a CR, and then Calc 2 at WCC, and then this semester she's taking knitting, and it's spun, and there are, I think, 5 of them who are learning how to knit. So they always have knitting needles, and so there's a wide range of classes, and I think kids can fit, right? Like I'm just as glad that my daughter's taking a knitting CR as I am that she took Calc 2, right? So there's a lot of variety in there. And I have students who are taking a Congolese dance class with Biza Samba, who is amazing. He was at WCC, but now he's at U of M. But I took it probably 25 years ago, and I have 2 of my editors from Communicator, 2 seniors who are taking it. So it's just so funny that we had the same teacher, but through the CR program. It really opens things up for kids.
And I will say that, there was so many things that we learned, and we couldn't put in the film because it changed over the decades, but there was more, so it became less of the school without walls than initially. There were students, Linda Diane Felt, who have a clip from that we can watch. She said she took the majority of her school was not in the school, and due to a lot of state requirements and other factors, changes in like security and just the way the world has changed, that's less the case. But we did a CR with the film, and we had 8 students total, but then one, Emma, she continued to work with us for 2.5 years, and she got a assistant editing credit. Then she went to Columbia for film school. She's, I think, a senior in like head of the editing guild. And like, we're just like, hire us someday when you're big. But yeah, it's gotten harder, but that's still part of the model of the school. Other burning questions? Yes.
So I graduated in 2005. Nathan Banka says hi, or at least I'll let him know he does. How much I'm gonna sound so old right now, but how much did social media change the high school environment and the post-2005 world?
I don't know if I can answer that. I remember Communicator had their Instagram account that I would scroll through all the time because like I would forget when we didn't have school, and you know, Community's Instagram account was always up to date on snow days and things like that. So I just remember, you know, but other than that, I don't.
And Tracy, you might answer that. That is such a great tee up. So I want to hear what you have to say for this clip, because yes, you teed up the clip because Linda Diane's talking about when they were publishing it in like 1973 on a mimeograph.
Yeah. Well, when I came, I remember we reprinted. I had 10 kids on staff, 9 boys, 1 female, and then we would print 125 copies, 4 pages, staple it, and then we'd pass it out, and then I would have to go in the hallway and pick up all the copies that were on the floor. But we would do it every week, and it's so fun to create something and to put it out there. I think that social media has so many advantages in terms of journalism, right? And putting words out there and getting video clips and multimedia and sharing information. And I feel like with Communicator, right, we're always trying to figure out how to kind of serve our community and our readers at that time. So it's constantly changing and shifting. Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I just think that our students are just amazing people, right? So I think when people think about kids like just always taking selfies and being self-absorbed, and do you know what I mean? That I think in terms of social media that they use it so wisely, and they're aware, I think, of the positives and negatives of it. Like there's so much, I graduated early 91. They're so much smarter and so much kinder than we ever, I mean, they're so much better than we ever were. At least that I was, yeah.
Shannon, yes. Well, I'm wondering, because I did promise at least a clip, so I wonder if there's time to show the Linda Diane Felt clip. And she's somebody who's in the film a couple times, and she's somebody who passed away about 1.5 years ago and was just such an important part of our community in many respects. And so, you know, I wanted to add something that we had from her, but this is also where her dog throughout the interview was just like chewing on me the entire time. So that's something that I wanted reflected in there because it was such a funny, unusual part of the interview. So I think
didn't she teach CRs?
she came back to community,
right?
and taught CRs about the history of Community High.
Mm-hmm.
And she had just like archives of everything, and she was just a huge supporter of this film happening. Like when I first said, I think I want to do this film, people said, talk to this woman, Linda Diane, and she was like, yeah, go do it. You know, so a few years later we finished. We have time for 1 or 2 more questions. And I don't know if anybody else had a question, but Shannon, I know you did. You had many. Oh, I think you need the microphone.
Hi. So something that was in the movie that I really appreciated was, I don't remember who said it, but someone said that like Community High, their goal was to teach to the whole bell curve. And I really appreciated it. I've taught in like a full inclusion public school, which means that like there isn't tracking. People like with and without disabilities, for example, all learn in the same classroom. So I'm wondering like how it's done at Community High. Like, is it done, like how do you make that very ambitious goal happen? And how successful do you think it is? Is it just done at the classroom level, or is there like some element of tracking, for example, or something structural about the school that makes it possible for that to happen?
This seems like an obvious question for Tracy.
So,
Yeah.
so in terms of math, right? Math is tracked, but not necessarily by grade level, but definitely by ability level. But for English, like I would have a creative writing class, and I would have first semester ninth graders who were reading at a second, third grade level next to somebody who's a 12th grader who is going to Harvard in the fall. And I really think that it goes with that philosophy of you love and you teach the students who are in front of you, and really with an individualized, I mean, that with creative writing, with so many different things, you can differentiate instruction, right? And I think one of the magical things that happens, and I think one of the reasons why our SAT scores and our standardized test scores have typically been higher is because we have our ninth graders, and in that second semester, they're in classrooms discussing things with 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. And I think that elevates the level of discourse, right, and the interactions that are taking place. I've been in schools before where I taught ninth grade, right? And then you have a certain kind of ninth grade energy that stays in the room. But as soon as those ninth graders are with 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, things kind of shift and it becomes a little bit more serious. And I think our ninth graders kind of mature both and just intellectually develop pretty quickly because of that.
I think somebody should write a book about community high school. I know that when I started this project, I was told there was maybe a book in the works by several teachers, but I don't think that's actively happening. I will say, though, that when I started, I think it was Ken, is Ken still teaching there, Ken McGraw?
Ken is online now teaching.
Online,
Yep.
okay. And he was one of the people that helped me understand the model, the sort of founding principles, which we ended up putting early in because we just wanted to make sure people understood, like, well, what is it really? What is the model? And the, forum is really this anchor, and that's in there. And for students to be between 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade across all these ages, getting to know each other, I think that's a big piece of why the culture is different than where I went to high school. Was not like that, and it was much more of these cliques and bullying, and you're trying to just get through. And fortunately, I was in band, so you do get to know some of the different grades. But it really is that forum, the CR giving those opportunities to study what you want. And then the relationships with teachers and students are different. The first name thing, I don't think that was in this cut, but calling your teachers by the first name and really emphasizing that relationship in a smaller school. Some people said the model is just smaller. Like, forget these 2,000, 3,000 student schools. They're going to create dynamics which are not the most supportive for a lot of these students. So some of it is really just have a smaller school if you can. But then these other things help create a culture that makes it so a lot of the students I saw were so compassionate to kids who had more special needs than I would have seen in my school. And again, you just created you have this culture that's doing something different. I think we might have to wrap up. Is there any final comment from our most dedicated audience here, or question and I'll stick around if people want to ask questions. Did anybody else go to community? Okay. You're going there now? I saw a few nods at various points. So okay. So did we get it close enough? Is it felt like it was the school you went to? Yeah. I know that because there's people that went there in the 70s, and again, to make a film about a place that's spans now over 50 years is kind of nuts. I don't know that I want to do that again because it's hard to get it right for people who went there. And we heard from people who went there in the 70s who saw the film and were like, that's not where I went to school. Like, that's not the movie for me. And then there's plenty of people who went there in the 70s who this did express their experience of it. So thanks for coming. And again, to Tracy, Batul for being here for this event and for hosting us. Public Library, Ben, Andrew, Heidi.
Thank you so much, Donald, and to Tracy and Batul for being here. Just a reminder, the library closes at 8, but I think we have some time to stick around and chat if you'd like.